busy mornings to come to our administrator training webinar. What I'm going to do in a second here is show my screen. I'm going to jump into Tallie itself. I'll go underneath the hood, so to speak, and take a look at some of the settings and features Tallie offers. And then we'll, depending on how much time we have, I'll probably go ahead and create an expense and export it out to QuickBooks Online. And then I'll go ahead and open up to any questions. So let me go ahead and show my screen here. Now, one more time, I'm going to ask a favor if someone could go ahead and let me know if they can see my screen. It should just be Tallie right here, the purchases page. Great. Thanks so much, guys. Okay, perfect. So everyone should be familiar with this aspect of Tallie. This is the purchases area. This is the area in which people out, your travelers, people out doing client lunches, mileage, anybody incurring expenses is here, and they're popping up here, whether they're just receipts like this. Let me go ahead and drag and drop these over, or they're out on the road taking pictures. So okay, those went pretty quick there, but all I did here was just drag and drop some receipts, and we had them popped up. So really, this area of Tallie should be fairly familiar. This is probably my favorite receipt here because I have my big thumb just popping out right there. But aside from the quality, taking a look, we're able to get the merchant, the date, the amount, everything pops up here. So yeah, this is the purchase area. I'm out on the road, incurring these expenses. Everything looks good. So let's flip it a little bit. If I'm the administrator, I'm not going to spend all my time here in this area looking at this workflow. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. I always call this the cog. Almost everybody I talk to calls it gear. Let me go ahead and flip that. And I get to see under the hood, so to speak. So here we are. You'll notice that this completely changes, and the on this side, the Tallie logo is gray rather than green. If I click here, it'll bring me back, and it's green again, and I'm back to this workflow navigation. If I click back here, I can also click on this home icon rather than the gear or cog. So this is something only an admin can have, and I'll show you what permission drives this. But taking a quick look here, I'm going to jump into company preferences, and I'll walk you through some of these admin settings, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at some of the features. So company preferences, most of this is really straightforward. You'll probably almost everybody here, if you've worked with our product expert team on setting up an account, probably walked through here before. I can change things like my company name, the main owner of the account. This features area is going to be really important. We're going to jump back here in just a moment, and I'll go through each of these features. Here at the customize area, I can change certain things. I can, if I was somewhere else in the world, I can go ahead and set that here. I could do a default currency for my company. I could change the date format. And I could change the legal text that people see when they go to submit the report. Likewise, approvers. I will also cover approvers when I do the features. I'll talk a little bit about our approval chain. Now, let me jump over to integration and sync. Again, this is something you'll probably only do once when you're working either with a product expert or you're setting up someone's account. Really is you'll be going to sync settings, selecting the appropriate accounting software, and you'll be coming to this page. So this page is it looks really big and complicated. It's really not. It's really straightforward. Most of this is set already when you choose your accounting system. There's a couple of things we can choose and sort of change the way things get exported. For example, in this scenario, I'm integrating with QuickBooks Online, and I have reimbursable expenses. But I probably don't want to bring over checks. I'd rather bring over bills. Checks are obviously going to be created in QuickBooks Online and hit my accounts right away. I'll probably want a bill to come across instead. So here I can change that setting. So over here for non-reimbursable expenses, I can do things like when I'm creating credit card charges in my accounting system, I can prompt for the date to be used. I can use the export date when we're getting them out of our system, or I can use the transaction date. This is probably the setting most people would want. We have a number of different things here. Merchant name to vendors, only one option here. Bills are always paid through AP. Checks are paid through my checking account. So all that's really straightforward. And then jumping over to manage lists, if you're familiar with QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, this is list data. So this is people, projects, accounts, classes, items. And then we have a couple of our categories in here as well, where we have expense categories, where I have an expense category that's mapped to an account or an item. And then we also have company cards. So if I have non-reimbursable company cards and I need to go ahead and map those to the appropriate liability account, I would do it here. So the list area is more of where I'm bringing in my list data from my accounting system, or I'm doing mapping with things from Tallie to those list items we've brought across. So people will bring in your employee lists. You go ahead and pull up an example here. So I have ARIA. What I can do here is click mapping, and I can say, okay, well, this is an employee, but everyone here who's familiar with QuickBooks Desktop or QuickBooks Online, I can't create a bill for an employee. So what I can do is map it to the appropriate vendor. Going to expense categories, I can create new expense categories right here on the fly. Let's do a new expense category here. I'll call it webinar prep. I'll put a display icon so it makes it a little bit friendlier. And I could map this to an expense account or service item. Now, if this was a billable expense, and my company uses a lot of billable expenses, what I would do is probably have an item instead of an expense account. It's going to look a little bit better on my invoices. I'm going to have greater control over the income and expense as I've had the item mapped directly, whereas expense account, I'm just mapping directly to an expense account. I could also do specific rules on expense categories if I needed to, where I'm like, okay, well, this is generally billable. Let me do something like that. I can say, well, if it's always billable, I can do something like this, where I don't allow people to change the billable status and it's populated as billable. So there's a couple of things I can do here, aside from just taking a look at the list data. So taking a quick look at everything we have under, well, I guess I should jump over here to billing. So this is where I could update my credit card. I could also take a look at my invoices. And if we have anybody out there that is part of our reseller or affiliate program, I can go over here and I can create a new client. I cover how to create a new client and set that up on our affiliate training webinars. So if you have any questions about that, I'd be happy to see you again. Let me jump over here to manage the list and do a little bit of a recap. So jumping under the hood a little bit, company preferences, those are generally our basic settings and features. Integration sync is when I'm doing the setup. Most of that's a one-time deal and I'm good to go. And then manage lists. This is all the list data that we bring across from Tallie, or excuse me, from your accounting system into Tallie. And then there's a couple of areas where we do mappings, where it's people, expense categories, company cards. The rest are data that we brought in from your accounting system. Okay, so that said, let me jump over to the company preferences area, and I'll go back into those features. So clicking on features, there's a couple of things we have right here. So what I can do with both project and class is I could turn on tracking. So if I have, let me jump over and open up that purchases page that we started on. I'll show you exactly what it does. So if I take a look here at Victor's Mexican food, let me go ahead and open this. So I have the receipt. I have the total amount is $140.17. Large amount of money to spend at a Mexican restaurant, but they said I couldn't do it, but I did. $140. Here I have the merchant, the date, expense category, and reasons, and total amount. Now, let's say I want to track this towards a client. Maybe a client and I went to Victor's Mexican restaurant and pigged out. We each had like 10 burritos. So what I can do here is go over to this area, and as the admin I could set things up where, okay, project is optional, maybe I even want class. So I could turn those as mandatory, optional, and by turning those on and exiting out of here, let me go ahead and refresh the page. You get things like this where now I can say, okay, well, me and this client went hog wild at Victor's Mexican restaurant, and now I can go ahead and fill out the rest of the information, this to meals, and then you see I have a project job here. I can put it to this specific client. I have a class already assigned to me, so it's popping up, and I can put attendees. So here we go. And I'll put notes here. Perfect. So I can do things like that. So really what I did here was, as the administrator, I turned on project and classes. It showed those project and classes that we brought over from QuickBooks Online. And so projects are really your clients. You may call them customers or clients. We generally just call them projects. So we bring those over, and we'll bring those classes over. Now into a couple of the other features. So we generally have a tiered or chain approval built into our system. But if we also need to either supplement that or replace it, what we can do is monetary approval levels. If I click this, what it will do is allow me to create different approval levels, such as office admin, COO, or lead finance member, things like that. And then I can assign monetary approval values and then assign those levels to people. So effectively it'd be something like, let me go ahead and hit save and click over here to approval levels. I can do something like, okay, here we go. I have a couple already built in. So something like I have COO who has unlimited, finance lead, office manager. What I can do, let me go ahead and go to manage lists. And go to permissions. And I can assign approval levels. So I could say, okay, well, Arya Stark here, maybe this person is my office manager, and I can assign it and say this is the amount that this person can approve. So let me jump back to features. Now let me go to policies and groups. Now I'm going to do these two a little bit together because there's a little bit of synergy that goes on working with both of these. So policies and groups. Go ahead and click save and it'll pop up. So policies are specific rules. So I can do things like receipt required, expenses greater than $25 requires a receipt, postage. I have a couple of these cleaning policies. I want notes to explain your purchase. Let me go ahead and create a new one and show you what it looks like. So I can do things like that webinar expense. Oh, you know what? I guess I didn't say that. But I can do things like let's do supplies. I can do things like put a total spend limit. I can make it applicable only to billable expenses. I can require additional information like receipt, reasons, project, class, department. I can partially reimburse, and I can also prevent employees from submitting an expense if it's out of policy. Now, generally, I don't want to do that because it's going to prevent my submitters from being able to submit the expense, but it's definitely an option. Let me go ahead and take a look here. This is one that we get rather frequently. We'll do 75, or I could do 74, but be a rather arbitrary number. So let's say anything over 75 requires a receipt. I have my text, name the policy itself so I know it's what it entails, and update and save. And from here I can just slide them on or off. So what we also have, so I also turn on groups. So I'm going to go to Manage Lists, go to Groups, and I have different groups of individuals. And what I'm doing is, we go ahead, I have everyone, so I have like a main group here, and then I have different groups. So thinking about that, I have a cleaning crew group. These people clean the office. It's Aria, Caitlin, and John. And I'm displaying the expense categories I'm allowing this group to choose from. Now the thing about this is if I set specific policies up, let's say I have a sales team. Go ahead and jump over to that. So if I have a sales team, what I can do is create specific expense categories with specific policies that are pertinent only to my sales team. So I can create as many expense categories as I'd like. They could be mapped to the same accounts or service items, but I can do like sales entertainment and have specific rules just for my sales team, and then assign those specific expense categories with those rules to those people. So working together, I have a really good degree of control over the policies I want to enact in my organization, what rules I want followed, and what expense categories people can see. So jumping back over to company preferences, go back to features. I'll keep policies on, I'll turn groups off. And the last feature we have here is CSV export templates. So I have an integration with QuickBooks Online, but if I also integrated with a payroll provider such as Paychex or ADP, or if I integrate with a project management solution, what I could do is create, let me go ahead and hit save here. What I could do is upon export, I can also create a CSV. So jumping over here, we have a couple built in from some of our partners. So here's one I created on a previous. Let me go ahead and delete that. And we have ADP, Paychex for payroll providers, Bill.com, and then a couple depending on your integration. So I could do something like, okay, well, you know what? I do want to export my reimbursables as bills into QuickBooks Online. You know, however, I may also want a CSV of all this information for my own records, or to import into the appropriate new accounting system or project management system. So I could say, okay, let's call this, I'm also call it a webinar test CSV. I can limit it to reimbursable, non-reimbursable, billable, CSV, text. I can include headers, yes, no. Sure, I'll have headers. I don't need summaries of anything. And I'll do things like, okay, let's do employee name. I'll name it name and save. I can add as many columns as I need. I'll do amount, save. And maybe I want the end of the report. And really easy just to create it and slide it on and off as needed. So I'll keep policies on. I'll keep this CSV template on. And let's go ahead and try to do a quick export here. So I have here out of policy, I also have view duplicates. So as an admin, these are important to take note of, because what the view duplicates will do is it'll say, hey, it looks like you've already been here. So I have Tava Indian Kitchen with my finger sticking out, 163 2nd Street, 163 2nd Street. Okay, well, these look similar. You know, let's take a look. Okay, these are, you know, these look similar. I can keep both. I can delete the duplicate. I'll leave it there for now. Likewise, I have view policy. All business meals need to have receipt, reasons, project, and attendees. Okay, so let me go ahead and click at it. Attendees. Reasons. And the out of policy is gone. Perfect. So from here, I'll go ahead and just click on over expense reports. And this is really a different view, and it shows how we've grouped all these expenses, and it'll tell me who I'm submitting it towards. So if anything looks good here, or if I need to make a quick edit, I could easily do so. What I'll do is I'll rename this to test, or no, let's lots of Mexican food. And you'll notice that we've created a new expenses over here. And the idea is that we need to have a default bucket expense report for all my expenses. So if I rename it and move these over, perfect, it'll create that new one over here. It'll tell me whom I'm submitting it to. Now, in real life, I probably wouldn't be my own approver, although it would be nice. I'd be able to go out on the town and eat 20 burritos and have $140 charges at this Mexican restaurant, which would be amazing every day. But I will go ahead and submit it, and for the demo, I will also be approving my expenses. So once I've done that, I really don't have to do anything else. I can take a look at what I've submitted. There it is. I can take a look at what's been approved. Okay. I can take a look at what's been exported. And this should be a lot of information, so it may take just a little bit. Yeah, there we go. So with that, I can say, okay, well, this is submitted. I can unsubmit it. I can remind my approver and just send them an email. And what's going to happen here, regardless of whether I hit remind approver or not, the approver is actually going to get an email, and in that email itself will have links to the receipts where I can just open it up directly in my, if I'm looking at the email on my phone, or if I'm doing it through Gmail, I can just take a look there. And directly from the email, I can approve, reject, or jump in here and see the report. I'm going to go ahead and just move over to the approval area and click approve, and I'm good to go at that point. I can see everything I've approved by clicking here. Again, this might be a little bit of data, not bad. And I have all the reports I've approved. So here we get to the export area. I have a couple of different reports here. This looks really good. I'm just going to go ahead and select the one I want. I could do reject all, export all, or print them out if I needed to. But I'll just go ahead and do this report that we've created together and export it out to QuickBooks Online. See my custom exports ready, so I can click that as well. And that CSV I created, right now it's opening up in Excel. There we go. So, yeah, there we go. So I have the Excel document. Go ahead and close this. And jumping over to QuickBooks Online, go to Transactions, Expenses. Should have it over here unless I beat it here. There we go. So here's the bill we just created. It's to Tyrion. I have my accounts. This was the Victor's Mexican Restaurant, $140. I have my reasons, descriptions, and these this memo here, this can be completely customized as needed. I have my client. If I had it marked as billable, it would appear as such. If I had mapped it to an item, it would appear here as well. And directly attached to the bill in QuickBooks Online, I have a copy of the receipt. So again, here's my giant finger, and we're good to go. I mean, really, in QuickBooks Online, all I'd have to do is make a payment to pay Tyrion and reimburse him back. Or I could go over here and click on Clients, and I can create an invoice. And I should have a lot of billable expenses here, so I'll just go ahead and just add a bunch. And I would just say, okay, well, let me invoice a client for these billable expenses. Let me attach these receipts. And I would go ahead and send it. It would appear in an email to my client, and the attachments would be there as well. So they'd be able to see the actual images. So that sort of takes us through the whole process. So with that said, does anybody have any specific questions, either regarding our features or anything maybe I went over too fast under the hood? Okay, so a couple of questions. One's regarding to, in regards to a corporate card. Is there a lag when credit card transactions show up in Tallie after it clears the bank? Yeah, so we only show charges that have been posted. So, I may purchase something today, but my bank doesn't actually clear it for 2 or 3 days. And as soon as the bank clears it, we'll pop it up here in our system. I also have a question about mapping. Do all employees need to be mapped to vendors? In my scenario, I have everybody set up to export to a bill. So if I have that set up, yes, it would need to be mapped to a vendor. But if I'm just exporting out checks to QuickBooks Online or QuickBooks Desktop, no, I wouldn't need to map anybody to vendors. I would go ahead and create those checks as usual. So I also have a couple of other questions on corporate credit cards. We could do something like, let me jump over here. And I believe I have one set up that we can sort of play around with a little bit. So credit cards. So what I can do here is I'm the administrator of this account, and here are all my corporate cards. I have master login online, so I say, okay, well, here's Chris's, here's Connor's, here's Demit's. What I can do is, and no reflection upon these people and the individuals I assign them to. Normally this would be, okay, I would assign this to Chris, and assign Connor's to Connor, and I would assign Demit's to Demit. And what would happen here is I do auto import. So every time a charge happens, it's going to go ahead and pop up in their account, and we'll automatically create expense reports. We automatically create expense reports over here for the charges. Let me see if I can grab a couple of these. Okay, here's one. Let me go ahead and. So I don't have auto import turned on here, otherwise it would just start popping up. But looking over here to expense reports, should have automatically created a report here. Now we generally do this by the month. However, I can go ahead and I can move these around as needed. Oh, I see there's a couple of questions about can we set report frequency? Oh, this would be something like, okay, so I have a question about can we set the reports frequency? So I could say I need to have these reports every week. So we can't currently do that, but it's on a roadmap. I can sort of take a look at that for you. So I have another one about credit cards. Can two admins see credit card charges? Meaning, can a credit card be linked to two people? So we can do that. It can get a little weird if I have two different cards that are mapped to, or excuse me, two of the same cards that are mapped to two different people, because there's a chance of having these duplicate charges. However, an admin can always see what is going on with someone else's account. So let's say we had one person be the office manager and one person be their assistant. What I could do here is I go to manage lists. I could click this and I could masquerade somebody and see exactly what's going on in their purchases page. So as an admin, that'd be something I'd be able to do. Okay, I have one more question, and I think we're coming up here to the top of the hour. It was about sequential approval. Let me go ahead and click on ARIA real quick. So if I wanted to have a two-step approval on a person, I could assign a manager here, and then I could assign another manager here. And so this would actually go to Laurel first and then Tyrion second. And I can forward you, the person who had the question on tiered approvals, I can forward you the guide. Okay, and if it looks like I may have missed one or two questions, but I want to be respectful of everybody's time, I'll go ahead and contact you directly, or feel free to reach out to us, support@usetallie.com, or give us a call at 888-874-1118, extension 2. Our support team is here in-house from 7 a.m. Pacific Standard to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard, Monday through Friday. And if you have anything specific for me, feel free to reach out. It's Jordan, Jordan, @tallie.com. So once again, thank you so much, everybody, for taking time out of your morning to join us. And I have one last question to repeat the contact number. I tend to say that really fast, so let me slow it down a little bit. It's 888-874-1118, extension 2. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks again.